Today, I want to tell you about a simple way to get all the entertainment you love without the hassle. DirecTV Stream brings your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before, which means you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in one place. And the best part? There's no annual contract. So stop waiting and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directtv.com. That's directtv.com. Compatible device required. Content varies by package.
In one app.
It's time for our weekly conversation with Pro Football Talk's Mike Florio. Brought to you by Simply Seattle. Tired of buying and repping the same old Seattle sports gear everyone else has? For the best Storm, Seahawks, Mariners, Kraken, Rainiers, Sounders, and not to mention the largest Sonics collection in the world, check out simplyseattle.com. Now with Mike Florio, here's Softy and Dick.
All right, big thanks to our friends at simplyseattle.com. Use code SOFTYSHIP for free shipping, by the way, on your entire order at simplyseattle.com. Use code SOFTYSHIP for free shipping. Here he is, our friend from ProFootballTalk.com, the NFL on NBC, our pal Mike Florio. Michael, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
How serious do you believe the Seahawks are about pursuing Julio Jones?
My assessment is that they want Russell Wilson to think they tried, because it's part of the broader dance that's going on between quarterback and team about how much influence he'll have, how much they'll do by way of building the offense around a quarterback who can take advantage of multiple weapons. And with Julio Jones, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, that pushes everything to a new level for Russell Wilson. But the problem is this: beyond what it would take to get Julio Jones, beyond the $15.3 million he's due to make this year, he's going to want a new contract either on the way in the door or after 1 year. Well, after this year, you got to deal with DK Metcalf, and you've given Tyler Lockett an extension. It just doesn't make sense, and we know how Pete Carroll feels about offensive football. It doesn't make sense. I think that they kicked the tires, if the report is true from ESPN that there were talks. I think they did it just so they could say to Russell, we did our due diligence, we looked into it, and ultimately it's not something that's going to work.
Yeah, we've talked about it, and we think you're spot on that, absolutely. What is it going to take for some team to get Julio? There's been reports of the first-round draft pick. Is there really going to be a first-round draft pick involved?
Well, if a first-round draft pick's involved, and again, I don't know whether or not that's true. I think it was interesting that none of the major 3 or 4 reporters ever confirmed the report from ESPN. Schefter never chimed in on it. Rappaport, people from NFL Media, Jay Glazer, no one ever confirmed that there was a first-round pick on the table. I was told that if there is a first-round pick, it's part of a package where Julio Jones plus something from the Falcons goes to the new team, as much as a second-round pick. So, hey, you get a first-round pick, but you get Julio Jones and a second-round pick in return. So it's not the same as getting a first-round pick. My belief is that it's ultimately going to be a second-round pick, and the Falcons are hoping that they don't have to pay any of his salary this year. And the thinking around the league over the weekend was that the Titans would be the destination. But, you can never go to sleep on the Patriots. It's whenever you pay the least attention to the Patriots making a move that they make the move, like they did last year with Cam Newton out of the blue on a Sunday in late June. So I think Titans, with the possibility of the Patriots making that move, if they think, number one, they can get Julio Jones for good compensation in trade, and number two, that they can handle his contractual demands.
Yeah. Can he still play, in your opinion? What's your assessment of Julio Jones as a player at his age?
Remember when Randy Moss went to the Patriots in 2007 and they thought it was washed up because in 2006 he shut it down for the Raiders? There's a thought, and Julio Jones wouldn't be the first one to do this, and he definitely won't be the last, and I'm not casting aspersions or making judgments here. My point is this: a guy misses 9 games with a hamstring injury, sometimes when he could play with a hamstring injury. And if he's happy with everything that's going on, and if everything is moving in the right direction, and he is willing to go out there and play with that tweak in the hamstring, then he can go out and play and he can put up better numbers. But sometimes a guy will choose not to play under circumstances like that. And whether it's saying, my hamstring isn't good today, or whether it's just lollygagging it like Randy Moss did in his second year with the Raiders so badly that everyone thought he was washed up, it wouldn't be unprecedented. So I think Julio Jones is going to be determined to go somewhere and have a huge impact this year, and it's more likely that he goes, has that impact, and then expects a big contract on the back end And that's when you trade for one of these guys, whether it's Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, Julio Jones, you get whatever propensity is there for the guy to become discontented. And I think you need to do a deep dive into his history with the Falcons. If you're going to trade for Julio Jones, understand where things went haywire, why he wanted out, why he wanted a big contract 3 years ago. And you have to understand that that's the guy you're getting for the next several years, and you may end up inheriting a problem that the Falcons ultimately are happy to get rid of.
We're past June 1st. No Aaron Rodgers news. Is it the Packers just staring him down and calling his bluff right now, and they think he's going to want to stay?
Yeah, I think that they don't believe he's never going to play for them again, that they think that he's going to show up. When he goes on SportsCenter last week and says to Kenny Mayne, I love my teammates, I love my coaches, I love the fans. Okay, so you're going to give those three groups a middle finger and not show up? It doesn't make any sense. It's not practical to think that that's what ultimately would occur. So they think he's going to be there. And I look at it this way. If you trade him now, look, there's a chance you get a player you can plug in for 2021, but you're going to get draft picks in 2022 if you trade him right now. So if you don't trade him right now and you wait until after the season, whether he shows up or doesn't, if he doesn't show up, he gets $33 million or is more than $35 million, depending upon whether he retires or just holds out. Either way, you're getting more than $30 million if he doesn't play. And you're going to trade him next year for what? 2022 draft picks. If he plays, you trade him after the season for what? 2022 draft picks. You're not getting a better package now than later. I think you can get a better package of picks from the same draft and future drafts next year when you could have 7, 8, 9, 10 teams at the table as opposed to the Broncos and maybe the Raiders. So I just think there's no reason for them to trade him right now. Trade him next year, and if he plays, great. If he doesn't, we get $30 million in cap relief and cash relief, and we can add that to the bottom line and use that to make our team better.
Couple minutes
and
left.
We don't have to worry about him playing for somebody else. That's
right.
the other side of it, too. Mm-hmm. You don't have to worry about him making you look like an idiot by going to the Broncos and winning the Super Bowl this year.
A couple minutes left with Mike Florio, ProFootballTalk.com, courtesy of Simply Seattle. Can you explain as best you can the story regarding the race norming that's been now abandoned by the NFL?
Yeah, I mean, it's simple, but it's also very complicated and nuanced. The industry itself, broader than the NFL concussion settlement, the psychological industry that determines cognitive impairment has used over time baseline measurements that put black Americans at a lower cognitive baseline than whites. And that becomes a problem when it's incorporated into a concussion settlement where you get benefits based on impairment because you're starting at a lower baseline, so you have to show a even lesser cognitive ability than a white person would to demonstrate impairment. So there's an inherent bias in that, and that's what has been pushed back against. There was a lawsuit filed against it. The lawsuit was dismissed, but the pressure was applied within the confines of the actual settlement that was approved years ago, and today the NFL agreed, we are going to stop using this practice going forward. And for every claim that's already been paid out, we're going to go back, we're going to reevaluate it without the race norming. It's a huge development, and it should lead to more benefits being paid to players who were either denied or didn't get as much as they should have got.
Mike, you had an interesting quote this week. I want to read it. It says, here's the simple reality. When the time comes to make cuts, players on the bubble will have a better chance of sticking around if they've gotten vaccinated. Is this going to be a big story come cut down time?
Well, the teams won't want it to be. The teams will want the story to be they kept the best 53 players. But I firmly believe if all things are equal, teams are going to gravitate toward the guys who are vaccinated. And they're going to know who's vaccinated and who isn't because there are already inducements available to the players who are vaccinated. They don't have to wear masks around the facility, for example. They don't have to be tested every day. So the general managers and the coaches are going to know who is and isn't vaccinated. And, Brandon Beane got in trouble last month, I think it was, for saying the quiet thing out loud when he said, he would gravitate toward guys who are vaccinated. But it's the truth. It's the truth. So many things are justified by pointing to what's in the best interest of the team. it's in the best interest of the team for as many guys to be vaccinated as possible, especially if there will be global benefits to a franchise if 85% or more of all players are vaccinated. So, I don't think the league is going to want it to be an issue. I don't think the union wants to fight that fight because I think the union leadership would say guys should choose to get vaccinated. But you're going to have some guys who get cut who end up thinking, you know what, the fact that I didn't get vaccinated is why I got cut. And the reality is, if guys feel that now, they should probably think about going ahead and getting vaccinated. And Peter King made a great point in Football Morning in America this week. Once guys realize that during the bye week they're going to have to stay in town and get tested every day, that may be inducement enough for guys to get vaccinated.
Mike Florio, awesome stuff. Love it. Appreciate it. Thank you. We'll talk in a week.
Thanks,
See you.
man.
See you guys.
Mike Florio with us, courtesy of Simply Seattle. Is it fair to compare Damian Lillard to the guy playing quarterback for the Seahawks right now? We'll discuss that next on Softy and
15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
My dad used to say that.
Sure, yeah. It's from Geico.
Yeah, whenever I would ask my dad for life advice, he'd sit me down and say, son, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. And look at me now, a well-adjusted adult with a drawer full of plastic bags I'll never use.
Okay, I'm confused. Was your dad a licensed Geico agent?
Nah, he was just a real good dad.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.